Welcome to this week's edition of Dispatches from Shed Quarters. We are using the shitty one mic setup again because I don't know why my third mic is not working, because we need a third mic because, well, this is the one mic, and that's the one Jason.
Yep,
and now we have...
The pretty bad boy Tim Copeland is in the studio.
Oh, he's cutting promos already.
And unfortunately, the third mic decided to have X-Pac heat with me as well.
We'll get into that.
Oh, man. I just bought the cord. So, it's a brand new cord. I should take it back and, strangle somebody with it. I don't know why it's being like that.
You know, I hate to say it, but I think it's just the curse of Copeland. It's what happens. But just want to start off by saying thanks for having me, boys. Big fan of the show.
Thanks for coming over. Glad you could.
It's not like you give us a choice to say, "Oh, you never make me." Nah.
Yeah, that's right. I do the same thing that I do in life. It's called guilt trips.
Wow.
And subtle sarcasm until I get my way.
And thanks for shaking that up on the way in, Jason.
You're very welcome.
Almost had a fallen soldier.
Oh, my goodness. Well, keep talking.
So, do we want to dive into my notes? Because I have notes. Or do you want to discuss your event from Sunday?
Well,
what would you prefer to start with?
What do you want to talk about, Tim?
I'm always up for open to talk to anything, whatever.
You're not helping the situation.
I say, all right, let's start off with your notes. Let's get them out of the way.
All right. Well,
get the superfluous shit out of the way.
If we start talking about our adventure on Sunday, we're definitely going to get sidetracked.
That's yeah. Oh, that we'll get to it. Okay.
So much rage.
It is wrestling.
My first note involves rage
against Dirks.
That comes later.
Okay.
Okay, as you saw on my Facebook. Oh,
who's that?
I don't know.
It's from Brockville.
It's probably somebody who I owe money to.
His CRA is probably tracking you down.
Just remember.
No, they already gave me my money.
Hey, you just remember one thing. If you ever feel like nobody cares about you, just stop paying your bills for a month.
Yep.
You'll find out real quick you're important.
You become real important real fast.
So, as you saw on Facebook last week, I ran into a huge philosophical dilemma in my marriage. It's on rocky terms right now. I don't know if we're gonna make it through this.
I've already expressed my opinion on this. Mm-hmm. Crystal's had a good run.
Yep.
And
it hit me today that come October we would have been together for 30 years, but I don't know if we're gonna make it to that 30-year mark.
30 years, you can retire. 30 and out.
Jay, I just want to tell you that as the old proverb goes, marriage is grand, but divorce is $100,000. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, you think I have that kind of money? That's funny. So what's leading to this? It's heartbreaking.
Oh, but this is good beer, by the way.
Yeah?
Yeah. Junction Porter. All right, carry on. with your dire important thing.
I didn't realize they became a sponsor now.
Every beer is a sponsor on this show.
Anybody? There's a bottle of Jameson's over there that was hopefully we get a sponsorship for that.
He's been pushing.
If anybody from Zubaz is listening, I am currently rocking one of your fine products. So
I too have a pair of Zubaz.
Feel free to send more.
Or money.
Or either one.
Yep.
Either one.
He's been pushing up on Sons of Kent for a while now too. So
what can I say? I'm a whore.
I am not that Tim Copeland from Sons of Kent though.
No.
Often mistaken for him.
No.
But not the same.
Well, Dad, the first time that name came through there, I went, what? I don't recall Tim ever saying he got into the beer game.
Bro, quick side story on that.
Sure.
When that got announced that they were opening up the Sons of Kent and it was all over the press in Chatham, I must have had, and I am not exaggerating, 100 people come out of the woodwork messaging me, Facebook messaging me, putting it on there, asking why I was kayfabe and what I was involved with. And I was like, listen, bro, I'll show you the negative 7 digits in my account. That is not me that is opening up the Sons of Kent. But I wonder if he ever got asked when his next wrestling match is. I doubt it. Maybe
once.
Maybe once. Around here, maybe once.
There's that distinct possibility.
Remember, this is a small town.
I'll have to ask him if he's got X-Pac heat.
X-Pac heat in the beer community.
At Molson's. All right, would you carry on with your goddamn story?
So, now I know your answer to this, and we'll get to it. So, it all stems from one discussion. Chris and I were watching a YouTube channel that we were fans of, and this came up. So, I'm going to ask you, Tim. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I'm going to have to go with yes.
Right on, brother.
Yep.
Right on. Okay.
But on this condition,
Yep.
Is it eaten with a bun or is it a la Franken beans?
On a bun.
Okay, on a bun sandwich.
On a bun sandwich.
Franken beans stew.
Franken beans, I'm gonna have to go with just the poor man's supper.
Yeah, there's no bread involved, so no, of course it's not a sandwich.
So keto, bro.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's not keto. I might have to check the numbers. I might be pretty close to being right on that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the full rules on keto. I work with a lot of keto people.
Baked beans is out. I already checked.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
probably
All right.
probably half the stuff that goes into a hot dog too is out.
Yeah, maybe.
It probably doesn't. No, it's pure protein, bro.
It's all pig lips.
Got to feed the gains from my juicy swell.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, keep going.
All right, so, no.
Hey,
We
gotta keep up now.
Yeah. This is gonna be rough. So yeah, come to find out, my wife does not agree with that sentiment.
Divorce.
This rocked our relationship to the very core. I thought I knew her, and no. And more than half my coworkers are on her side as well.
Women?
Most of them women. Yes,
That
there was
sounds
one dude,
about right.
one
Yeah.
dude, but mostly women that they do not believe a hot dog is a sandwich. Even to the point where I posted the Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition
Of what a sandwich
of a
is?
sandwich, and there's a sub right below that. It says hot dog. When served on a split roll, it is a sandwich. That is from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary. That is, would you consider a dictionary definition to be fact?
Not when you're arguing with a woman.
Take that out. Do you consider the Webster's dictionary definition to be fact?
Usually, yes.
All right. So these people that are denying facts, I am equating to being Trumpish. Because facts don't matter.
Oh, we're going political
A
now.
little bit.
Fake-
A little
fake-
bit.
Fake news.
Hashtag fake news.
The
Yeah,
first
that's
time I
gotta be
threw
it,
that at
yeah.
one of my coworkers, you should have seen the look of death I got. And I just went, what?
Gonna make hot dogs great again.
I just got to go to Chicago for that, man. Trust me.
You're talking about hot dogs, all I can think of is Harry Carey, you know.
Harry Carey.
Yeah. Hey, if you're a hot dog and you got hungry, would you eat yourself?
All depends on how fast the healing process is.
Ooh, Wolverine regeneration?
Oh, my-
You never starve.
We start getting into these paradoxes. We could be here all night.
Well, okay, there is a scene in one of the comic books where Deadpool is stranded and he gets hungry and he starts eating his fingers. They regenerate, so he is constantly being fed.
All right. That Deadpool's the only one who would get away with that.
I could probably do it if I had sriracha sauce. And they regenerated. I gotta.
You have to have the regeneration to make that a plausible case.
That's
So-
correct.
Huh.
But Jay,
So, yeah.
in this case, honestly, no offense to the missus, but she's wrong.
Yep.
That is not going to stop her from claiming that she's right.
Oh, nope.
As we
We haven't
years of
hardly spoken
marriage.
since that happened. So
You know, the thing is she'll never live this down. I was wrong one time in my marriage. One time I accidentally.
that you admit you were wrong?
No, I straight up was wrong, but it was a slip. I thought that veal was not baby cow. I was confused. I thought it was lamb. I had a mental moment. My wife uses that to this day as her go-to to point out that I'm not right about everything whenever I am in fact right.
I can't pick.
Okay, so 99.9% of the time, Tim Copeland is correct in his assumptions.
Usually. Yeah. I mean, as long as we don't back it up with fact and logic.
No sense bringing the truth inside of a good
Let me
story.
stay in my bubble.
That's
Let
right.
me stay in my bubble.
The bubble is there for a reason, to keep the negativity out.
That's right.
And the good stories flowing.
When you're you, you're you. When you're me, you're better.
I'm sitting here thinking, is there one thing that where I was wrong, Crystal holds it over me? And no, there isn't one thing, because there's way too many to list. I'll admit it.
That's the one thing, and honestly, it's her go-to. I can be right. I can straight up say, no, Kevin Bacon was in Footloose, and she will say, yeah, but you're wrong about veal. And it negates anything I say.
Damn.
Yeah.
You gave her, like,
That's
the
my
kryptonite bullet.
That's my cross to bear. But a sweet gal and a hell of a good cook, too, so.
All right.
Yeah. No, you just don't know your farm animals.
That's true. I didn't care.
Honestly, that's a fairly easy mistake if you're not around that kind of stuff very often and whatnot.
I knew veal was baby cow, but what happened? The point that she never brings up is she fails to bring up the fact that I had just got done working a 7-day straight night shifts of 12-hour shifts. I'd gotten like 6 hours sleep in 8 days. My brain wasn't working on all cylinders, you know, so it was a slip.
There's the insensitivity of your wife at this point in time, in your moment of weakness, should negate that flaw.
I have tried to tell her
pas.
that,
Yeah.
but she sticks with it, man. And I gotta say, it trumps all the arguments. Like, that is her go-to, and I have no rebuttal, so she wins. You know?
Well, yeah, because you definitely don't want to throw anything back
She
at her.
was right, I was wrong. She's very good looking. I'm moderately attractive. That's usually how the conversation ends up.
Wow, that sounds so familiar.
Like I told you boys, you guys gotta get a farm fresh Mennonite chick. You have no problems.
I should have talked to you when I was 18.
Hey, you had your opportunity.
I did.
Oh, is that when you met?
No,
That was when I met. Oh no, I met. You didn't know when I first met Mike?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go on
Like,
a quick.
I know you were
Okay,
like their first student and all.
or have we put Crystal to bed?
Yeah, we as long as we're all in agreement.
We're all in
Hot dog
agreement,
is a
Crystal.
sandwich.
Crystal, I can
Wife is
say
wrong.
this: you are wrong. You're probably right about a lot of things, but on this one, you are 100% wrong.
All right,
All right, what else you got?
Now we're getting into Letterkenny.
Okay, we'll plow through your notes.
Okay.
Because
Then we will get back to how I first met
Okay,
one
we'll get
Iron
into
Mike Lutz.
that side. So, as you're aware, I've been revisiting Letterkenny. I've been revisiting Letterkenny from the beginning
yeah.
because I just love the show so much, and I haven't gone back to the older seasons for a while.
Okay.
So, yes, love the show. Well, just I am the unofficial spokesman. I herald that show everywhere I go.
I remember running into you boys completely randomly because we both went to see Letterkenny live.
Yes.
Yes.
Fuck, I remember that.
That was a good night.
I'm just gonna go put this.
I was on fire. I was on fire. You guys could have hit worse shit.
Oh, no.
Oh no, Lucy hit a couple times, but
I did not hit to the level that you.
No.
I couldn't have missed. I was making the ball.
You just about broke even.
Yeah. But
He-
this one, he became the whale. He got comped like hotel rooms.
Yeah.
A free limo ride back home.
It was a beautiful thing left. They were trying to rope me in to give it back.
No kidding.
Didn't fall for it, except for at the roulette table.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
I'm a firm believer I'm a cooler when it comes to casinos or anything involving any sort of luck. I'm a cooler.
I just was happy because I seen you guys in the sea of humanity that was Caesars that night as they had turnaway business for Letterkenny Live. St. Patrick's Day, great night.
Yeah.
And I just seen you two guys, and I seized my moment because I knew you guys were the only one in that crowd that would get the line. Look at these two morose motherfuckers.
Yes.
Fuck yes!
I whipped around and went, well, what a surprise.
Quick question for you: have you seen Jay and Silent Bob reboot yet?
You know I have, and I loved it. I loved it.
yes.
I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was perfect homage not only to the original, but also to the canon that is the View Askew universe.
Yep.
Love the way they tied in the cameos. Love the way that they brought in everything about View Askew had a purpose and a place. And honestly, I thought it was a great story. No spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for the people who haven't seen it.
I'm pretty sure we have.
We went to Toronto to go see.
Yeah, we saw it live.
you lucky sons of guns.
Kevin Q&A in the process.
Fantastic.
And, I said, going into that weekend, I had read the article that Kevin talked about from an Edmonton journalist, and she shit all over.
Of course, because Kevin Smith's another fellow with X-Pac heat in the Hollywood circles. He doesn't get the credit he's due. Jersey Girl got shit on, and it shouldn't have.
Critics hate him.
I don't understand it. Okay, Tusk, fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, if you go into Tusk knowing the story of the Gumtree article that they stole Tusk from, where the backstory of Tusk is, it makes perfect sense.
I'm sure that's true. I came into it looking for a great Kevin Smith movie. I was one that I left disappointed with that.
Yeah,
you were expecting more View Askew.
I was. I like View Askew, but I also like stuff outside of it. Like I said, Jersey Girl, honestly, one of my favorite movies. I
didn't mind Jersey Girl.
I love Jersey Girl.
Me too.
It's one of my top 5. It's not in the View Askew universe. I love it. Yeah. I also loved him in Catch and Release. I thought he did a great job.
I question if it's not in View Askew. I think it is, even though there's not much of a thread. I think there has been very small thread connecting it. I'm trying to
the fact that it's in Jersey.
Yeah.
No, I think there was some reference somewhere where that kind of connected it, and so I can't remember the connection now, but I seem to recall something along
If anyone would know, it would be you.
It's closer to View Askew universe than Tusk and Yoga Hosers and Red State for that matter.
Red State.
Did you see Red State?
I have seen Red State. Listen, Red State, I thought was good. It was very dark.
Well, okay.
It was incredibly dark.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good film.
Yeah.
It didn't leave me feeling utterly disappointed like Tusk did.
Okay.
Yoga Hosers I saw completely high, so I found it very entertaining.
It was like, you were right in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, exactly. I got some Bill Bonnet chronic and enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
Tusk, unfortunately, no amount of weed was helping me through that day.
I love Tusk.
But Red State, good film, very dark. Totally not like Kevin Smith. On a side note, though, I just read an article about how Cop Out is like 97% approval rating on Netflix, which I find hilarious.
That's crazy.
Because it got shit on so bad.
Yep. But he didn't actually write that one.
No, he didn't write it, but he did direct it.
Yes.
Even though Bruce Willis didn't follow his direction at all.
At all.
At all.
Except for that one time.
Okay,
that one famous story where he brought back a little bit of his moonlighting character for that one moment, and then as Bruce was walking, he's like, "That was for you."
But yes, I saw Reboot, loved Reboot.
Amen.
Thought it was great. Huge. Like I said, big fan. Zach and Miri, another one I think that gets overlooked.
Yeah.
Judd Apatow, no disrespect to him at all, but I feel like his movies are beloved, and all he really did was take a page out of Kevin Smith's books.
Oh,
kind of. Yeah, Kevin kind of kicked that door open. I think.
100%. 100%.
All right.
All right. Back to Letterkenny.
Yes.
So revisiting Letterkenny, there was one thing you had mentioned that we were, and I don't even think it was on the pod, where there was a Kevin reference, because the night we saw Reboot in Toronto, K. Trevor Wilson was there. Squirrely Dan.
Yeah.
You watch Letterkenny?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I appreciate about you.
Nice. Is that all you appreciate about me?
Oh, hey, no ground.
So
I do have to say about
Yeah.
Letterkenny, though, I was a huge fan of season 1 and 2. I checked out in season 3.
Really?
I did.
Why?
The tweakers. Too much tweakers. It just season 3. The tweakers. It turned me out.
It does kind of shift gears a little bit.
Also, the great cliffhanger of season 2 where he gets a native girl knocked up, and then they just completely
brush it off. One line of dialogue at the opening. Yeah.
Exactly. And then between that and the tweakers, it brought me out of it. Seasons 1 and 2, I was one of the hugest advocate for it. You got to watch it. Started watching season 3, and I haven't been back.
I suggest you take a look at 7 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people said something about season 3, and he's gone back and they went, all right.
Yeah, they did smooth it out. I'll admit, I think season 3 might be the weakest, and I still love the show top to bottom. But yeah, I think season 3 they did kind of hit a little bit of a road bump there.
Because I'm a big fan of original comedy. Like in wrestling we call it cheap pops. In comedy, I find like in season 3 it went with the cheap pop, where it went for the physical comedy of the tweakers, it went for the overtopness of the gay preacher, and everything else. Glenn, you know, not that he's not a great character that adds to it, but I felt it was just too much, and it was just done for what I could call the cheap pop, you know. And it's not my cup of tea when it gets to that. It's not that I don't appreciate the humor, but to me, it's better when it's not the whole thing, you know, when it's the sidebar. And it's the same with the Tweakers. I thought the Tweakers were great characters, but it became too much.
They really take an interesting evolution as the show progresses, particularly in those last 2 seasons, seasons 7 and 8. A big transformation there.
Okay.
So yeah, you really should try to go back to it.
Well, I'll definitely check it out.
I'm always going to recommend it. So, but you were curious about a Kevin reference.
Yes.
Because you thought maybe there was a reference from the character Gay. You may not be familiar because I don't think she came until season 4, I think.
Yeah. Oh, this was more in after they left Letterkenny to go to the city.
Right.
So
that's where I figured it would come up.
Stuart has moved in with Gay, and they've hooked up. Rolled has showed up, but I think
I found it, and it wasn't with Gay.
It wasn't with Gay.
No, it comes much later.
Oh,
and you're gonna be pissed as to who makes it because they make it multiple times.
Okay.
Fucking Dirks.
Really?
Dirks.
Damn it.
Dirks is a character introduced in season 8.
Okay.
And he's not a very well liked character.
He hooks up with Katie.
Now, is he not well liked
by Wayne?
Okay, so storyline he's not well liked, right. not fan base.
Fan base, it's hard to say. I haven't heard too much.
Fan base, he's loved to be hated. He's a great heel.
Okay.
He tries to be kind of.
So he's not Ted Mosby.
I don't know who's Ted Mosby.
Okay, Ted Mosby is infamous. Everybody loves How I Met Your Mother, but they hate Ted Mosby.
Okay. I've never.
He's not supposed to be hated, but the fan base just hated him. They just can't stand that guy.
Okay.
Well, somehow he got through the screen testing.
Dirks. For whatever reason, Katie has taken a shine to Dirks.
Okay.
Wayne instantly hates this guy, and because we as fans are along for the ride in Wayne's life.
Absolutely.
We hate this guy
by proxy.
Okay. And we start to see the cracks. We start to see why Wayne dislikes him. And then the season finale happens, and it's completely justified.
Okay.
So he's not a liked character, and he's the one who makes the boo boo kitty fuck references on a couple of occasions.
I thought.
So there's your Kevin reference.
There's my Mandela effect. So
now, with that being said, so that answers that question. But I discovered what I believe to be Katie's hottest moment in the show. It's a close race between her confronting Angie in the hockey locker room.
Oh, the puck bunny scene.
But I submit the Valentine's Day episode.
I was just thinking that.
So are you aware that they've done holiday specials?
Yes.
Okay, well, the Valentine's Day one, you got everybody except Wayne doing a speed dating thing. But everybody knows each other.
But see, that's great, Dawn, and I'm glad that they don't include Wayne with that because
Wayne didn't want to have anything.
Right, it wouldn't have worked with Wayne.
No, and Wayne is such a great protagonist too, though.
Yes.
Can I just add that? Like, I think that's what drew me in seasons 1 and 2 is that Wayne is just, beside from what I found to be brilliant dialogue that they wrote, and the way that they all played off each other. But Wayne, in and of itself, take the brilliant dialogue away, take away the fact that we can all relate to it because we all have those cousins from mom,
Yep.
You know. Wayne is just such a great protagonist.
Yes.
You can relate to him. You empathize with him. You root for him, and they've written him very well. Well, at least from what I've seen from seasons 1 and 2.
As they've said numerous times, he's also a dying breed of the good old boy.
Yes.
You know, he's got his morals. He sticks to those guns, and so that's why we can really feel for him. So he's not involved in this speed dating thing, but everybody else basically is, including.
But you wouldn't know.
So in season, I think it was season 4 actually, we're introduced to Ron and Dax.
Okay.
Basically, you know Riley and Jonesy, the hockey players.
Yeah.
This is their gay doppelgangers.
Just let it dangle, bud.
Yeah.
Well, these guys chirp nothing but gay innuendos.
Oh,
constantly.
even better.
It's fantastic.
Even better. Well done.
And after chirping at Riley and Jonesy like, you know what? We should be friends. You know, we crush box. You guys crush ass. Well, there's no reason we can't be friends. And they ended up becoming friends. Well, Ron and Dax ended up becoming friends with basically everybody. Everybody likes Ron and Dax.
Well, they were written into that show, and they fit a niche that we didn't realize we were missing.
Yes.
And Ron and Dax get in there, and we're going like, all right,
Incredible, then.
It's a perfect fit.
Like the only gay humor we were getting was Glenn, which was getting old real quick.
And it was over the top. It was definitely over the top gay innuendo because like they don't openly say that.
Right. And then we get that references to Roll the Skid.
Yeah.
All right, and that starts to become more and more.
Right.
Well, then you get these guys.
Yeah.
That they don't dress flamboyantly, but they're gay. They're proud of it. They're constantly talking about it.
Those short shorts that they wear in the gym, like they're like a millimeter away from their balls hangling.
In fairness, I was wearing that at the gym earlier, so.
Balls dangling. There's a story. There's a recent news story about balls dangling. We'll get to eventually too.
I can hardly wait till the balls.
I can't believe you haven't heard it. So yeah, it's Ron.
Is that the rugby issue?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Neither one of you heard this. I'm baffled. But anyway, Ron and Dax, they're very gay. But actually, we found out it gets revealed. I think in that episode that they swing both ways.
Yep.
They'll play both sides of the field.
Both sides of the plate.
Both sides of the plate. Sorry. They make so in the speed dating things because everybody knows everybody. No one's really going to be hooking up, right? So they're using it. While Riley and Jonesy want to try and use it to practice pickup lines. The only women there were Gaylor, the bartender, and Katie. You had the hockey coach there, who's still lamenting about his dead wife Barb. That actor.
What a perfect he is. I mean, he was a great part on Mr. D, which I think is a very underrated, overlooked Canadian sitcom.
I didn't know he was on that.
He was Mr. Lee Young, the librarian.
Okay.
And he would steal every scene he was in.
Well, he's getting to that point with Letterkenny, honestly.
He was sorely missed when he left Mr. D because he got the role on Letterkenny and it was conflicting shooting schedules. And he went with Letterkenny.
That's a rough choice to have to... Poor guy.
Letterkenny was probably paying better, my guess.
Letterkenny's got a lot more exposure now.
They got that deal with Crave and
Hulu in the States.
So then bucks started flying.
The Americans are falling all over themselves for Letterkenny.
They're stumbling. They're stumbling.
And you know why? Because it's everything they believed about Canada for so long.
True.
Right?
True. Well, because what was the Dog River one? Corner gas. Corner gas filled there was corner gas. The Americans went, really? And the Canadians are going, no, not really. And then Letterkenny shows up and we're like, fuck, yeah, that's exactly it.
Because we all know some of these people.
Oh, yeah.
We are those people.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, and it is true because one thing from when I worked out in Alberta in the oil sands, seeing everybody from every corner of Canada was all in the melting pot of Fort McMurray. Yep. So you heard every accent in Canada possible, and you heard every walk of life, and you've seen every tradition from East Coast to West Coast, and nothing in between. My personal favorite's the East Coasters, but that's just me.
Newfies?
Oh, I love the Newfies.
Yeah, the Newfies are awesome.
Best kind, by. Yeah. Oh, Lord Thunder, and I tell you, don't get me started on them, by.
We get some Newfie hockey chirping.
Oh, perfect. Even better.
Yeah. In season 7. It puts Riley and Jonesy to shame.
But do they pronounce it ice hockey?
I don't know.
Because if they don't go a hard H in front of the ice and leave the H off of hockey, they're not true Newfies.
I can't remember if they actually said
ice hockey,
but their chirping was quite something.
Fantastic.
So Katie's hottest moment, in my opinion, there she is. First again across from Ron and then Dax, and they're throwing baseball sexual innuendos at each other.
It's fantastic.
And Ron and Dax are so good at this shit. And Michelle Millette, who plays Katie, is such a convincing actress. At one point, you really thought she creamed herself. Like, she's like, fuck. Like,
just the back and forth.
It's so good.
So Ron and Dax, they just hit it. So like, bit,
non-stop.
Bam.
Non-stop every time you see them. They just go and go and go.
It doesn't surprise me though. That's the Letterkenny way, right? Like it's rapid fire. You have to pay attention because you're missing a ton of.
I had to turn on the closed captioning to get half of the stuff, especially with Shorzy when he's chirping. You're just like.
But even then, that would be interesting because the closed caption people aren't even picking up what they're saying.
Oh no,
and they're guesstimating, which in and of itself, watching it on closed caption could be just as entertaining.
I went through all the seasons once. Then I went back and I turned on closed captioning and I'm like, this is so much funnier.
This would be my probably 5th time going through the first 6 seasons.
Yeah.
And 3rd time going through season 7 and 8.
Really?
Yes, that's how much I love the show.
And you think your marital problems are related to the hot tub situation?
Hey, I like what I like. So that to me is Katie's hottest moment when
the speed dating one. Did you ever see the bloopers for that?
Some speed dating?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay. That's your homework for tonight.
I've seen bloopers from the show, but it was usually from earlier seasons. Yeah. No, I have not.
There's an interaction between Coach and Jonesy.
Oh, even that just sounds like gold. Because can I just bring up the point too that we gotta
Riley.
We gotta give them props that this started as a YouTube phenomenon.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This was done as a YouTube phenomenon. I heard about Letterkenny first back in 2010 or 2011, somewhere around there. And it was my cousin, and he said, and he believed it was a shoot. He believed it was a shoot. They were so good at
it. Well, it was too well shot to be a shoot.
Exactly, and that's what I said to him, right? I said, there's no way that this is a shoot because nobody in a hick like that has this production value.
No.
But they were so convincing.
It all just started as just where they're talking to the camera, and saying those quick one-liners and things, right?
Exactly,
right.
Yeah. But it caught on like wildfire because, again, I think every Canadian can relate to it. And I seen it, and it was gold. It was comedy gold.
Yeah. I wasn't familiar with that. I'd heard inklings, but never really checked it out. It wasn't until those first commercials.
Okay.
Where basically we were getting the cold open of the first episode.
Right.
I want to see this show.
My brother told me about the web series, just like how you were introduced to it, and I went, what is this? So I went and I looked for it, and I was like, this is fantastic. And where's more of it? Give me more of this.
It's always great when you find something that hasn't really caught on yet.
Yes.
When you're in on the ground floor.
You're in on the ground floor. Like for me, it was F is for Family.
Yeah, yeah.
I couldn't get into that one.
And that's fair. It's not for everybody. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But
if you're not a Bill Burr fan,
you're definitely not going to like it.
I like Bill Burr, but for some reason, that show just didn't grab me.
But I had a dysfunctional childhood, so I think maybe that's why it spoke to me on a whole new level.
I see way too much in this.
Right? Exactly. Like, if Frank Murphy threatened to put his kid through a fucking wall, wasn't my stepdad growing up. You know what I mean? That's it. So for me, it's nostalgia, right? I might as well have been back eating Oreo cakesters, reading an Archie comic. That's where that brought me. Okay, so. But
that's very specific.
That's just neither here nor there. But I'm just saying that's what I related to with Letterkenny because I was like, same thing, right? Your brother told you about the web series. It was my cousin who told me. He's like, he pulled it up on YouTube. You gotta check this out, right? You know. So when you get that, and then you go in and you see it spread like wildfire, you almost feel like you're a part of it. Yeah, at that point, right? Because you got in before. In your mind, before anybody else, right?
I know for a fact that I have hooked at least a dozen different people onto that show.
Yeah, and it's such a great feeling when somebody comes up and tells you about it and go, "Oh, you didn't know."
You know what's really fun is when you see a Letterkenny reference in the wild.
Yes,
and like a lot of you're getting a lot of pictures now of people at NHL games with jerseys on with 69 and Shorzy across the back. It's like everybody's going like, "Hey, give your balls a tug, tit fucker." And
which like, I did throw out during his match. I kept it PG. I texted him what I was going to say.
It's so hard to do that sometimes, you know. When
I only threw out the one because I'm not that quick on my feet. I'll admit that. But I threw out instead of "give your balls a tug, you tit fucker," I said "give your jeans a tug, you lug nutter."
That's not bad. When you're cleaning up,
PG.
Yeah.
that's almost TBS level cleanup when you're running a Steven Seagal movie. You know?
Wow. Steven Seagal reference. Nice.
TBS. Steven
TBS.
Seagal.
Oh yeah, TBS is evil. Not TNT.
That's
because-
deep cuts, man.
I don't even know if that's a relevant reference anymore. I might
It
have
works.
it
works in this circle.
It works on
We
the-
all got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all that matters.
for all you youngins listening, TBS was infamous for running R-rated movies and cleaning them up just so that they look nothing like the original cut.
Okay, you're really pushing the listeners.
You know,
Yeah.
Comment.
Listener.
Okay, let's
No S.
for you listener.
Yeah.
Now,
Thank you, by the way.
now I want to submit against that because this has come up in conversation recently. There is one editing masterpiece for television that trumps anything they could do.
Yippee kayak, mother trucker.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I
No.
remember that.
One time only in the, I believe, late 80s, ABC aired a edited for TV version of Scarface.
No, they couldn't have.
They
How was that
did.
even possible?
Was there anything left?
All I know,
30
all I
minutes.
remember from this, 'cause I know it happened. I don't think I watched it. 'cause
Push
I'm
it to the
sure.
limits.
Yeah.
But it was, I believe, because of the amount of editing and all that they had to do, they almost turned it into a comedy.
Oh,
That would be
I kind of
awesome.
want
Now,
to search the web for that
I
cut
think
now.
I could be wrong, but I think it's available on the anniversary DVD set.
Oh.
I believe it's an extra feature.
It's always gold when you can find something like that. Like, quick sidebar, I bought the Dumb and Dumber 10th anniversary edition or the special.
You were the
edition.
one.
Yes, it was me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it came with 2 DVDs.
Okay.
One was unrated, one was not. I did not realize the unrated version was as filthy as it was. The original unrated cut of the Farley Brothers Dumb and Dumber reflects nothing of the theatrical release. It is beyond filthy. And I found out the hard way because when my children were about
Oops.
8 and 6, they asked to watch that movie. And I thought,
It's a fun movie.
it's a fun movie. There's a couple things that might be, but that should be over their head anyway,
Yeah.
you know. So I thought, okay, so I pop it in. I didn't check which DVD I put in. I just grabbed it and threw it in. And I'm telling you, within the first 10 minutes of that, I thought, whoa!
Nope.
This is, so I did go back to watch it because I was curious myself. And it is, I mean, if you ever get the chance, check the unrated version of Dumb
I
and
had
Dumber.
no idea that exists.
Yeah.
I am extremely curious. I
Let me
will
just
be
say
hunting that down.
the sea bass scene that you've seen in the theatrical is much funnier and way raunchier in the unrated.
I am extremely interested.
Yeah.
I will be finding that.
Cam Neely was awesome in the. It doesn't do him justice in the theatrical release. That's for sure.
Fantastic. What else you got?
Now this one is just a weird. Now, this is not going to be nearly as interesting as anything else so far.
Well, don't sell
But-
yourself short.
So Xander was home for one night last week
Okay.
because the Wilfrid Laurier Singers, which is a choir group, came to Chatham to perform at his church here.
Okay.
He came home Friday. The rest of them came Saturday. They performed Saturday night. He went back home.
Choir bus?
Yeah. So we went.
I was just
Of course, we always go to his shows. Of course,
Yeah, you know.
proud parent, gotta support the kid and all.
Did you pay for your tickets or were they comps?
No, we paid our money.
Okay. I'm just
He's not that big of a star. Come on now. And he-
Well, no kidding. If he's not getting you comps, he's not that big of a star.
not yet.
Couldn't you
Someday.
tell the choir you're in the business?
Someday.
I've tried that before.
Someday, maybe, but not this time. So what brought this to mind is one of the songs they did was a Mozart piece, and it was like the first of I think a 7-piece, the Requiem I think it's called.
Okay.
And this particular section is called I want to call it Kyrie, but I don't think it's quite pronounced like that. So it's Kyrie. The only time I've ever seen that word or name is the old song by Mr. Mister. Which is pronounced Kiri.
Yeah.
And I've never fully understood the lyrics to that song.
So you did a lyric with that?
Well, it's so the actual chorus to the Mr. song. They're not the same song, okay? It's just this little bit of lyric that is the same, because it's Kyrie eleison, which is Greek for Lord have mercy.
Huh.
So that Mr. song, now I kind of understand what it's about. After all these years, a song that I remember listening to it a lot because it was one of my uncle's favorites, and I spent a lot of time around his house. So I kind of had a musical epiphany that I finally know what Mr. was singing about. Lord have mercy on the roads that I must travel is basically what they're singing.
Oh.
And it all stemmed from seeing that.
I feel like a shooting star with a rainbow behind it that says "The more you know" should.
kind of.
The more you
Well,
know.
I didn't post.
Yeah.
Ding.
So that was my last important note.
What about the unimportant notes?
Now, since you guys aren't aware, we'll get to the dangling balls news.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yes.
Let's talk about Jason's dangling.
Not my balls. No.
Bruce Jenner's. Sorry. Caitlyn Jenner's.
It's 2020, Mike. Get woke.
I know. I can't dead name somebody. I could.
His balls are dangling. I think he has them as fuzzy dice on his mirror.
No, that would be his wife.
Oh, okay.
Is he still allowed to drive after killing people behind the wheel? Or?
Whoa.
Good question. I don't know.
Oh yeah, he killed someone.
I do remember
Allegedly.
that now.
No, it wasn't allegedly. He just had enough money to pay it off.
Oh, all right. Well, you say allegedly on the podcast, so you don't get sued.
All right, so allegedly, and I'm also doing the finger air quotes
Yeah,
just
okay.
for the
There you
listener.
Good cover.
Yeah,
Good cover.
we're covered now. We're good.
So,
Podcasting rule says you have to air quote and say allegedly every other second.
so
Fair enough.
Sunday was a big wrestling day.
I know.
GWN.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than we both got our asses kicked.
Well, speak for yourself. I feel like
You got the win.
I feel like he got a few lucky shots in, but I feel like I still won the fight. Didn't leave with the title, but
We'll get to that. The dangling balls news comes from the other wrestling event that went on that night. WWE's Elimination Chamber.
Oh.
One of the matches on the card, Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan suffered twice a wardrobe malfunction.
That's why I wear a singlet.
that's why if you are going to wear trunks, you always got to wear the trunks under the trunks.
Yeah, double trunks.
This has made mainstream news. And by mainstream, I'm saying Dave and Chuck the Freak.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They were discussing it today, and I looked it up, and it's legit.
Slow news day then for
Daniel
that.
Bryan's balls came out twice in that match.
Poor
That's
bastard.
not that much of a surprise considering the game that we play.
That's true. It does happen. It's fortunate for me. It's never happened to me, but
We don't.
I've dodged that bullet.
See, I've never heard of it happening. It's particularly never happening on camera.
I did have my
Other than, who was it? Women losing their tops and stuff.
yeah.
I've heard
Well,
those.
it's more common
But
in men
for the
than you
men,
think.
I've
There's
never heard.
a classic rib. I don't know if you're aware of, but Al Snow.
Oh, I was just thinking this
Yes.
one.
Hardcore Holly? Is this?
Yes, you know
yeah, it was
that?
in Foley's book.
Yes,
Yes.
where unfortunately he was not into male grooming at the time, though. So
But he
looked
didn't.
like a bird's nest with 3 baby eggs.
He didn't wear underwear because he didn't want panty lines.
It's on TV,
and
but
this
it was
wasn't
a
even a
house show.
televised match.
That's right. But-
you remember that story?
Yeah, but it does happen from time to time. You know, you got to adjust. There's actually in GWN. There's a Wildfire Tommy Birch, who was one of my opponents on Sunday. There is a classic photo. Cindy Engel was her
Engel.
name? Engel,
Yeah.
who was a great photographer, captured great action shots. There's one that's hanging up in the home of Donovan Jack O'Shea that has a great shot of Tommy Birch taking a massive bump, and one of his balls is hanging out the side of his trunk. And I was the one who pointed it out. I was like, is that his ball? So
You need to get red sticker arrows.
Yeah.
And every time you go to Don's
Back.
house, you smack it on there.
back and to the left.
It's turned into the Zapruder film.
So it is now hanging up in glory right next to the bounce check from Steve Berbervic for $15 for services rendered
Yes.
from a Bay Area wrestling
Bay
show
Area
in
wrestling.
2006.
Nice.
Which
I got paid cash.
The check itself cost more than the $15 that was written on it.
Yeah, because
it was
he had to print those out,
and it was watermarked.
Yeah,
it was a fancy.
Nobody was going to counterfeit those checks because they were fucking rubber and they don't hold in.
There was nothing in the account that they were written from. But
You drop it, it bounces around. Like
man.
a Super Bowl.
Yeah, at the very least.
I carried that check in my wallet for 7 years as a reminder of every single time I was tempted to try to get work on a regular basis in the professional wrestling world. I would pull that check out and say,
"Yep,
no fucking thanks, man. I'm out of here."
All right, so I'm at the end of my list. Let's jump into the GWN adventure.
Okay, well, we'll start off first. So we'll get back to how Mike and I met. Okay, so back in the day, as the youngins say,
Tim's a historian. He will be able to tell this story letter perfect.
Okay.
The
floor is yours.
I have a documented 33 concussions, but my long-term memory is phenomenal. Short-term, terrible. Long-term, almost Rain Man-esque.
Yes.
So
when it comes to wrestling information, like it's amazing. Tim's encyclopedic knowledge of professional wrestling is stunning.
Up until I'd say about the year 2000.
Yeah. Well,
and then I stopped. I was in the business then, so I stopped paying attention to it as much. Ironically.
Yeah.
But so I used to frequent. There used to be shows that were put on when I was a wee lad called NWA Maple Leaf Wrestling.
That's right.
And I was their biggest fan. I went to every show, and you have to understand, I was a huge professional wrestling fan growing up. To the fact that I watched Channel 38 religiously because they had old reruns of Global and World Class, and I mean this was 94, 95. They're running reruns of that, and I would still watch it. They had American Wrestling Federation. Yep. They had
I cried.
Herb Abrams UWF promotion tapes.
I cried the day my dad got cable because it short-circuited my ability to get Channel 38.
38 was great. It was televangelism or pro wrestling. That was the only two things they aired on that channel.
Somehow I missed that. I was not aware of this.
Yes, it was my favorite channel.
Damn.
It was like zero production money from the studio going into these things.
Yes.
Because all the wrestling was syndicated like all over the place,
and they aired stuff that the promotions have been out of business 5-6 years at that point.
Yeah, so somebody would buy the tape library of these old promotions, and they would shop them around to these different local
affiliates or whatever,
channels, and Channel 38 goes, "We got 24 hours to fill." Wrestling evangelism,
and that's all it was. I don't even think there was infomercials. It was all but I mean they had everything. So I mean,
and the $1 Million Man said that and said, "Hey, I think I could do something with that."
Current news says that's a touchy thing.
His son tried to legit be the $1 Million Man.
Allegedly,
according to news sources.
You didn't hear?
No.
Oh. Ted Jr. just got jacked, funneling millions.
Not Ted Jr. Brent.
Oh, Brett.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Brett. Yeah, his other son.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's Ted Jr., there's Mike, and there's Brett.
Yeah, okay. And Brett was jacked, allegedly funneling donations from government things into his dad's. What was it?
Ministry.
Yeah.
Wow.
To the tune of over $4 million is what they're alleging.
Yeah.
It worked for a while for the Bakers and for Jimmy Swagger.
Then somebody with a half decent accountant looks at everything and goes like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Anybody who thinks they can get away with anything like that in this day and age now.
Well, not that easily. Anyways.
But, yeah, so, I mean, I was exposed to Smoky Mountain Wrestling and everything. I bought all the aftermags. I still have all my aftermags. I have well over 500 magazines that my wife wishes I would
PWI, The Wrestler.
Yeah, we call them aftermags because Bill Apter was the editor for them, and he was the one that wrote all the kayfabe stories for him to to make it interesting for the young Tim Copelands of the world that would buy them up for $1.95.
I remember seeing them on the shelf. I never.
I bought them all. I loved it. I lived and breathed wrestling. My childhood consisted of comic books and wrestling, but mostly wrestling. That was my escape. That's what I fantasized doing. So anyway, whenever I would see a flyer in the area, five flyers. That's another funny story. But whenever I would see this, and the first flyer I remember seeing was for Dan Severn defending his NWA World Title, and also appearing was Doink the Clown. Oh. So I went, and that was my fascination with NWA Maple Leaf, because it was my first indie show that I ever went to.
That was my very first show as well.
Were you and Slater just...
No. You're the Dan Severn Doink one?
Yeah.
Was... they put those flyers out at a Raw or a WWE house show that was at the arena.
The Memorial Arena. They papered them, yeah.
I went to that show. It was at the Wish Center.
Yes.
That was the very first time Jeff Black introduced me to Sean at that show.
Okay.
That was my introduction to Sean and Nate.
Okay.
So... your show, that show that you were talking about,
yes,
was my first time meeting Sean.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, I thought you were saying that was your first show, and I didn't remember you wrestling on that show.
No.
Because I remember you wrestling at the Christian High School was the first time that I seen you.
My first match was about a year after that show that you went to.
Because for the people listening, that first show was 1996.
Yeah. My first match was in Dresden at the arena against Slater Jeffries.
Okay. And
we concussed each other within the first 30 seconds of the match with open hand slaps.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And continue, please.
So I would not miss a show. I did miss a couple that were in Dresden and everything else because I was 12 and didn't have a car, and my parents were like, I'm not driving 15 minutes to bring you to wrestling. You can ride your bike or you're nothing. And I'm like, it's Dresden, I'm not riding my bike. So, but I would go to all these shows, and I was their biggest fan. I have so many great memories of them. It was my first up close experience. The action was great. The wrestlers are great. Professor Maxwell, Harry, legitimately scared me as a young lad. He never broke gimmick ever until the time that I caught him with a towel over his head, cranking a dart out back behind the Christian High School. And when I asked him for an autograph, he ran at me, arms a flaring and teeth a snarling, and I never asked him for an autograph again. But I mean, it was great. I loved it. Would go to all their shows, biggest fan. Till I pissed Shooter Sean Brown off, who was the reigning NWA Canadian champion at the time.
Yep.
But they had sent him the wrong title belt, and they had given him the NWA North American title belt.
Yep.
And I went in all my infinite wise fandom, because I read every After magazine and watched every program, saying, I believe Jeff Jarrett is the NWA North American champion.
Get the fuck out of here,
he grabbed the belt back and said, intermission over. So
that sounds about right.
So flash forward a couple years, the year 2000, and I see flyers for a new promotion called Canadian Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Hey, I know those guys.
Yeah. Yep. And I'd seen the flyer, and it was advertised as a 15-man over-the-top battle royal was the main event, live from the Wish Center in Chatham, Ontario. And I thought, I'm going. I couldn't convince any of my friends to go, but I went. And there I was, and again, another great show.
Was it the Wish Center or the Wall?
It was the Wish Center. When I started training was the Wall, but this show was at the Wish Center.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So this one was run. This was the infamous one where Slater Jeffries Paul drove Eric Youngson onto the freezer.
I was there for that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I forgot the Battle Royal, but yeah, me and Tom and John
Wilson.
John, who had to be held down. From, or otherwise he was going to jump in the ring at one point to go after, was it
Youngson?
Yeah, Youngson.
I don't think that would have ended well for Youngson. He could hold his own.
No, John would have probably killed him.
Yeah.
Okay, well then, fair enough. The reason why I say is Youngson. Funny side note about Youngson, and rest in peace, Eric Youngson died young, but
far too young.
Far too young, and he was a great guy. Great to work with, but Santino Marella of WWE fame wrestled Eric Youngson in Chatham when I was on the show, And Youngstown was a consummate professional, and Santino decided to try to get cheeky with him. And Youngstown was a pro and worked through the match, but when we got to the back, and Santino was a legitimate shooter, legitimate judo guy, no one to scoff at. Eric Youngstown did not care and straight up asked him, "Do you got a problem with me still? Or are we going to settle it here and now?" Because he believed in taking care of business in the back and not in front of the fans, because he was a pro. So that's why I said Eric would have gave him a go, because Eric, maybe not the best shooter, but definitely was never afraid of a fight.
That's right. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. But, yeah, so I seen that show. Great show. A lot of memories from that. A lot of funny memories from that. I remember a wrestler named Thorne coming out in airbrushed jogging pants with his pockets hanging out and white Reebok running shoes with white socks pulled up to look like wrestling boots. And I also remember that I counted of the 15-man over-the-top battle royal, there was 8 wrestlers. Once I got into the business, I totally understand why that was. But as a fan, I remember thinking, well, what the hell? But
I've been shortchanged. I want my money back.
But great show.
Magnus was on that one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the scary dude.
Yeah. Magnus was a scary dude. I gotta go into the Magnus story.
I've told that story a couple times, but I want to get your perspective of that story.
Okay, so 2003, wrestling for Pro Wrestling Entertainment. What's it called?
PWA. Chris Drury was the promoter.
PWE.
Yeah, PWE.
Power Slam Wrestling Extreme. It was called.
That's what, because EC Dub was the thing.
Yes. So PWE,
which later turned into Ring Wars.
That's correct. Yes. So I believe it was a double shot we were doing that day. Was it
yes,
not?
It was
the weekend of the double shot. With the
because that was the
100-pound pillow.
The hotel room of doom.
Yeah, motel room. Don't let them kid you. Yeah. So I was booked with one Magnus. Now, for the people listening, picture Road Warrior Hawk in his prime.
Yeah.
6'6", 320, gas to the gills.
Yep.
And a very scary man.
Blonde haired Viking looking motherfucker.
Yes, and we were tag teaming against a team called the Highlanders, and Magnus was fired up in the back, to say the least. He was calling the match of how it was going to lay out. As he's calling the match, he keeps chopping me in the chest whenever we reference, and then I'll tag in Copeland. And as he says I'll tag in Copeland, he's barreling me across the chest as hard as he can. And I am trying not to sell it, but meanwhile I am screaming on the inside because my chest is caving in. So anywho, we get ready to go out.
I have no idea how that feels.
Oh, you'll be fine.
My chest still gets warm when I think about it.
It does. It hurts. A lot of people think it doesn't hurt. It hurts. It's.
I didn't feel a thing.
Oh, of course you didn't. You're always the one giving, not taking. But
that's the way you're supposed to do it.
True. That's the smart thing. So just before we head out, the last thing Magnus says right before we go out as the music hits, he says, "Oh yeah, one last thing," and he pulls a razor blade out of his wrist tape as he says this. He says, "One last thing. If anybody knocks this beanie off my head, I'm gonna cut you," while holding up the razor blade. Then he sticks the razor blade back in his wrist tape. So that's the last instructions he gives us as we go out. So we get into the match, and we're going, and Magnus is fired up. And he is what we call super stiff in there. Throwing straight out of Idaho live rounds.
Yep.
Ultra potato. So he kicks Robbie in the face. Splits him open hard way. I'm talking a good 6-inch gash over his eyebrow down. Rory sees this, says, "Fuck that shit." Jumps off the ring apron.
Yep. What you don't know, me and Colin are up in the balcony killing ourselves laughing watching this.
I can imagine. So Rory jumps off the ring apron. Robbie powders, trying to assess how bad the damage is. So the Highlanders are now on the outside of the ring. Magnus looks at me and says, "Get in here. We're going to do the body press spot." Now, I'm not going to argue with him. We talked in the back how he was going to give me an overhead press and throw me onto the Highlanders, and they would catch me, and we'd do the dive. So we go in there. He lifts me up. I'm doing everything I can to not knock said toque off his head as he's giving me as he's giving me the overhead press. Now this is how strong this man was. I was probably about 205 pounds at the time.
Yeah.
He runs in a 20 by 20 ring. He runs from one side of the ring to the other with me over his head and launches me. Now, if anybody's a wrestling fan or familiar with the scene with Bam Bam Bigelow doing that same spot to Spike Dudley into the fans,
yes,
that is exactly what he did to me. The Highlanders, God bless them, tried to catch me. They did everything they could to try to catch me, but I was a good 5 feet above their outstretched hands as I sailed past them in terror to the rows of empty chairs that I was about to land into. Yep. I then crashed into the chairs, took the worst bump of my entire professional wrestling career, and the best part was I got paid $10 and it wasn't on videotape, so I couldn't go viral. Yeah. So that's my Magnus story. So then I had a good time with that show. I see a couple months later that they're running the old Christian high school, which had been converted into a wrestling show kind of arena, CC Dub's official arena now, plus the wall, an indoor wall climbing studio.
Yeah, rock climbing. There was there was a bunch of different
Taekwondo was in there. Home to a rave once.
Yeah. Yes. Well, yeah. Allegedly.
And there was a wrestling ring. So I had seen this, and I attended a show again, and once again, blown away, loved it, had a great time. Fortunately for me, during the show, they said, if anyone is interested in becoming a professional wrestler, stick around after the show as we are opening up the CC Dub School for Professional Wrestling.
I was there. Yeah. I was at that show.
Yeah. So I stuck around eagerly, of course. Could not wait.
Now, at this point, you were like 16?
I was 16 years old. 16 years old, $150.
If that,
Yeah, $150, $160, give or take, maybe. Soaking wet.
Yep.
With my ramen noodle Justin Timberlake beach blonde hair. And so I stuck around. They gave us the spiel. I didn't care what they said. They could have told me that I had to eat shit on a stick. I would have said yes. I couldn't wait to become a professional wrestler. They said it's $100 down to show us you're serious about it. You leave a deposit. Being the mark that I was, I got $100 right now. Here you go. Boom, done. They could have taken my money and
he ran across the street to the gas
ATM
station.
at the Sunoco. That's right. Whipped out the $100, came running back, slammed it down.
See you Monday, kid.
Yeah. So then I showed up. So that was my first. That was my first introduction to Mike.
I had no idea.
Very brief. And then I showed up on Monday. There was myself. A gentleman by the name of Tim Davis, who would later wrestle as Bruiser Bob, who was known in the Ontario indie scene because he ran Bruiser Bob's wrestling website on the website then.
That's right.
Canadian Ontario indie wrestling.
Yep.
His friend Chris Skillings, who would later wrestle as Knuckles Luciano and the Canadian Crusader, I want to say.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
And then a guy who we nicknamed Dewey.
Yes.
I don't even remember what his real name was. And a fat guy that looked like Ralph Cramden.
Yes.
That showed up. So.
Ralphus?
No. Worse, bigger.
Yeah.
More teeth though. So there was 5 of us, I believe.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
And so we show up, and I can't wait to get into the ring. I can't wait. We didn't go near the ring. So Mike and Sean and Nate had us run, I believe it was 10 laps around
the school.
And then we finished those 10 laps, and then we had to do 10 laps backwards around the school. Which, if you think that's easy, try it sometime.
Yeah.
So we did that. Once we finished those laps, and I wasn't too blown because I was 16, I was in decent shape. I was skinny, but my cardio was good then. I didn't smoke then. Don't ever start, kids. And
it's a life lesson podcast.
Yes.
There's your PSA for today.
So we did that, and then it was Hindu squats.
Yep.
Then it was Hindu push-ups.
Yep.
Then it was wall walks.
Yep.
Then it was bridges.
Yep.
And then it was time to
go home.
No, it was not. Then it was time to learn what the mount and the guard was.
Ah, that's right.
Yes. As we did amateur wrestling and grappling for the remaining half an hour, I believe.
Yep.
Now, keep in mind, everyone was gassed at this time, so we were
Oh, okay. Yeah. Keep going.
So we were just getting ragdolled, and I want to add that even if we weren't gassed, we would have been ragdolled.
Yeah.
So that was my introduction, and I believe that they did not expect any of us to come back after that.
Really wasn't expecting anybody to show up. To be honest, when, like I said, when the 5 of you walked in, it was just like, oh, okay, they did show up, and then we just said we had to test you guys.
Wait, so are you telling me that all that cardio and everything was just done on the fly, just to weed out? Oh, perfect. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So we.
Oh, you actually thought there was a plan involved?
I was hoping that was just part of this diligent Stu Hart-esque training manual.
We knew who Stu Hart was.
Yeah, so here, Tiger. Maybe you can teach me a little something in there. But no, so I came back. I believe our training was supposed to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturday mornings.
Yes.
I believe was the training schedules.
Yes.
So I came back Wednesday, and nobody was there.
Don't do that yet.
Except for myself.
And
no, when I first showed up, no one was there.
Okay. Now that leads directly into my first encounter with my very first training session, because after that match, that show that was at the Wish Center where I met Sean and Nate, they go, oh yeah, okay, come pick us up on Monday. We'll start training then.
Does it say sync all playlists?
Eager Beaver Mike. I was like, okay. I go over to where Sean and Nate are staying. Knock, knock, knock. No answer. I knocked on their door for an hour straight, and then I knocked on a bedroom window or basement window, and then Nathan shows up at the door. What? What do you want? So I thought you guys were coming to train me. They went, oh yeah, okay. So
that's perfect. That sounds about right. I had just assumed it's because you guys ran it so hard that you didn't expect anybody to come back.
That too.
Yes. So I was there. I was there maybe 5 minutes. No one else was there. But then a rather large fellow came in, who I recognized from the shows as well as Dangerous Danny Steele.
Yes.
Came in through the doors, and I introduced myself, said I was a student, and he proceeded to whip my ass, Rick Bolton style.
Yeah, I remember showing up just in time to see him goozling you.
Yes.
And me screaming in terror, like, no, what are you doing? And he turns around, and you turn around, and you land right on his shoulder, if I remember correctly.
I had Matt Burns from delt down to wrist.
Yeah.
On both arms, because I did not even remotely know how to take a bump or what a bump was.
No.
And he just whooped my ass. Yeah. I was taking hard buckles and beals and goozles and everything else, which, I mean, that's how he was broke in, and he was testing, so you want to be a wrestler, and he definitely wasn't going to expose the business to somebody that hadn't proved himself, and you know what, kudos to him. I would do the same thing.
Yep.
But he whooped my ass, and I remember when he came in, and you're like, okay, that's enough for today, But even through the ass whooping, I was excited because I was in a ring.
Yes.
I was in a ring, and I was getting thrown around by a wrestler, by an actual professional wrestler. So ass whooping was worth it. I would have taken it. So then I came back. About a week later, I showed up with a black eye.
Yes. You were still in high school at this point in time.
Yeah.
And you had shown up at the training hall, and you had a black eye.
Yes.
And I asked you, how did that happen? And you proceeded to tell me that you got into a fist fight in the halls at CK.
That's right.
And I think my next question was, did you win?
Yeah. And the answer was no.
Yeah. And then my response was, this is the last fight you will ever lose.
That is true. And
What's up?
incident.
Right?
Yeah, sorry, it was my nephew. They're getting ready they're going on vacation. They're leaving tomorrow, and he needs my help trying to sync his phone, and he doesn't know how, and I'm trying to walk through it, and I can't, so.
Oh, okay.
Everything all good?
Oh, it's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine. It's just, they're leaving, I'm pretty sure, tomorrow morning, like 3 a.m. or something, so.
Oh.
Nothing like the last minute.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nice.
Call up Uncle Jay.
Yeah. Well, we all live in the same house. So,
Oh, okay.
And it's syncing his phone off my computer, so.
What? Your porn?
No. He's only 13.
His own porn.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
He can't handle my stuff.
it was the last fight that I did lose actually after that, because Mike did say this is the last fight you're going to lose, and then him and Nathan Brown and Sean Brown all taught me how to fight. Mike's first instruction on how to fight was punch me, and I said what? And he said throw a punch at me. So I throw a punch as a half speed. He goes no. I mean throw a punch as if we were fighting right now. If you hit me, it's my own fault. I'm not going to be mad. Okay, so I haul off, throw a haymaker, and he, before I even come close to his face, just levels me in the bicep. And my whole arm goes numb. And he says, yeah, it hurts, doesn't it? That's the nerve ending that runs in there. And then he showed me where the solar plexus is and how great it is that a fist can fit directly into that. So I basically, as I was learning, and I don't know, maybe you can speak to this, I don't know if it was just my unbridled love for professional wrestling that came out, or my eagerness to learn, or my eagerness to do whatever was asked, or whatever, but the three of them really took a shine to me, and they decided not only to teach me professional wrestling, but they also taught me shoot wrestling, catch and grappling, and this is before MMA became a real big thing. So I spent just as much, if not more, time on the mat learning how to shoot that I did learning how to work.
Yeah, our whole thing was, you can be a professional wrestler. You have to be able to handle yourself in the ring. If your opponent tries to take liberties.
Yeah, which happened to me quite often when I was first breaking in, because I looked like Greg Brady.
Right. So, oh, you did. It was uncanny.
Should have made that your gimmick.
It's about 20 years too late at the time.
But no, you have to be able to handle yourself in the ring. If it's an opponent that tries to get cute, or if somebody
after the show,
during the show jumps into the ring.
Yep.
Oh, you're a professional. I'll see how tough you are. You have to be able to handle yourself.
Yep.
In the street, wherever somebody knows that you're a professional wrestler, you're going to be tested.
And it happened a lot, because keep in mind, I was in high school while I was training. So once word got out that I was involved in professional wrestling,
He was tested.
I was quite frequently.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I had 3 shooters, 3 guys that weren't afraid to grind my face into the mat in order to teach me how to handle myself.
We did that to you because we did that to each other.
That's right.
So when I was training, my training schedule was 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day. Saturday shoot day, and it's all we did. Saturday, you get in there about noon, and we shot the entire day.
Yeah, I still remember the day we set your ring up in the Christian high school.
Yep.
Watching Nate and Shooter just shooting on each other in that ring for must have been an hour.
And Nate's a dirty shooter.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah,
he loves to get in the ribs.
Then it got to a point where you were just yelling, okay, do this. They do that. Do this. All right, they do that.
Well, that's okay.
Tiger Driver. Okay.
Yeah, well, so that's the funny thing with me, Sean, and Nate. We would go to like WCW pay-per-views at the CBD hall in town. And when Lex Luger matches came on, we'd go outside and wrestle in the front yard.
I remember you telling me about that.
It came to the point where people would see us get up and go outside, and they would follow. There was a time, Sean and Nate ran a program over Sean's hat during the pay-per-view. After we left the pay-per-view, we went back to the gym, and it was Sean found out that his hat had a thing for Nate.
His hat had a thing for Nate.
Yeah, so Sean's hat liked Nate. So Sean had a problem with Nate. So they went and they worked like a 2-month program in like an hour and a half. Promos, everything, brawls.
And it doesn't surprise me, especially with Nate. Nate, in my opinion, Nathan Brown, a.k.a. Danger Boy, is probably, and I say this unequivocally, I think he is the most overlooked and underappreciated talent to ever come out of Ontario into
Absolutely.
wrestling. The guy has a mind for the business that is second to none.
He's been to Japan. He's been to Mexico. He's been all through the southern states. He knows
he can
so
work
many
any style,
Yeah.
and he's so willing to impart wisdom with it. Unfortunately, it falls on a lot of deaf ears. But I mean, unfortunately, age and injuries get the best of everyone.
Yep.
But I'm telling you, in his day, no one could touch him.
No,
Because in my limited experience, I can wholeheartedly agree. What I was always entertained watching Nate work.
And I will say this, as great as the training I got from Sean and Mike was on both the working side and the shooting side, where I really started to come into my own as a worker and understanding the business was just the talks that I would have with Nate, because after I graduated high school, Nate got me a job where he was working, so we were working the same shift. So we were spending 8 hours a day together working.
I heard some of those stories
Yeah.
the other day.
Okay,
working alongside each other.
Yeah.
And he started to smart me up to the business and started explaining the psychology of the business and why you do stuff and when. So once, I mean, every day I was working, I was getting paid, but I was also getting an education in pro wrestling 101, because at this point I knew how to work a match, but I didn't know how to work a match. And Nate was telling me and explaining, and we would spend hours, and he would just walk step by step why you do this and when and what makes sense and everything. And it was like, boom, it was like light bulb moment. So very early on, I started taking control of my matches and working in the veteran role, which was led to the X-Pac heat that I got in Ontario, because these guys are like, you're 18, you're 19, you've been working 2 years, you've had 50 matches, why are you calling spots and this and that? Well, it's because I could visualize in my head how the match should go and go out there and work. And what people construed as arrogance was me just being confident in knowing this is how I want the match to go and this is how it should go. And unfortunately, the double side to that sword was that it got me nuclear heat.
Yeah.
Nuclear heat.
Yeah. But you were protected by who you ran with.
True.
So if you were to do what you did on your own,
Yeah.
you would have been out of the business real fast in a bad way.
Yeah.
Because somebody would have taken advantage of you in a ring, and you would have been hurt. You, like I said, with the way we trained you, like I said, that's how we were trained. That's how Sean and Nate were trained by Al. And
I'm super thankful for it too, because not only did it help me in the professional wrestling world, it helped me in my real life, because I was 16 years old, so I was still learning life lessons then, right? I was still learning about life and everything else, but being broken the way I was broken and the discipline that I was taught during that time, applying that into real life did me wonders. Yeah. Having that mentality, looking at things through that, I don't want to say rose-colored glasses, but definitely from the worker's perspective at that point.
There's so much to be said about the car trip from your house to the show, from the show back to your house.
Absolutely.
If you are smart and you are in a car with guys that are smart, your education is on the road, not in the ring.
100%. There was times where we would take a road trip thinking we were going somewhere, and the show would either get canceled or we'd miss a turnoff. And we would just end up coming home. But I didn't ever think that that was a wasted trip, because I continued my education and I learned so much on those car rides.
That's why I love riding with him.
Yeah.
Like when we take our adventures, because I get to hear a lot of these kind of stories and whatnot, and I just eat that stuff up. It's fascinating to me.
Well, I remember I told you a story that about Big Sean, Rune Maine, when he was doing a handicap match
against two faces.
Two smaller faces.
Yes.
And I told you how that match went. And then he went, oh, that doesn't sound that bad. And then I told you how that match should have went.
And it made perfect sense.
Yeah.
And there again, it goes back to, that's where when you're broken the right way. And I mean, I love Big Sean, I love Ruin, you know what I mean? But you definitely, when you see people who are broken by different people, and the amount of time it takes to learn stuff that they should have learned earlier had they been broken in by an old school set of guys who were broken the old school way. And that's not a knock on Ruin, because he's a great guy and he's good at what he does. But it's just an example of,
you have to be able to take that situation, like finding a guy that will train you.
Yeah.
Wherever it is. And I don't know.
The question remains, though, is there anybody who trains that way anymore? I don't think there is.
We would if we had a school.
Would you want to run a school, though?
No.
And that's what I mean, right? Because it's not what we did, what the way you were taught the business, the way Sean was taught the business, Nate, the way I was taught the business through you guys, that business doesn't exist anymore.
That's what I was thinking. That style is long gone.
Yeah, that whole business is long gone.
It would have to be a very special, specific individual like you to, if for whatever reason we decided to take a student on, it would have to be somebody in your, like, the way you brought in. Like, we're not going to just cash checks.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be.
And I should actually point out that after that initial payment and my first month of paying dues, I never paid another due after that. Never did.
No, because it
paying dues, I mean cash money, not.
You paid your dues.
I paid my dues otherwise.
There's some good dues stories. Bam Bam, when he first showed up at GWN.
Yes.
All I remember was he was coming in, him and his dad.
Yeah.
They were like, well, who the fuck is this? Well, my son wants to wrestle. We're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Get out. Like, go away.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
Nobody would give Bam Bam
which might be the wrong attitude to have, because we missed out on the cash grab that is Ontario Wrestling Training Schools now.
Yeah.
Everybody has one.
But
as long as your check clears.
Yeah, okay. There is that. But we weren't that.
No.
And like, to our own detriment.
That's right.
In Ontario Indies, our own detriment is we are the way we are.
That's right.
And we have burned every single bridge that's ever been put in front of us.
Torched them, Daddy.
Oh, it was just like me and Sean at points in our career, we were walking around with flamethrowers on our back, just looking for shit to set on fire.
You know,
and like, kudos to Tim for being able to carve out a career that he has, being associated with who he was associated with.
It wasn't easy at times, and that's not a knock on them. That's just in the business side. Once you hurt feelings and hurt egos, it's very hard to repair that. They can't separate the work. A lot of people don't think they're marks, but they work themselves into a shoot quite often.
Oh, big time.
And I was able to kind of branch out a little bit and explore different avenues.
And we encouraged that.
100%. There was never any animosity. Actually, funny story about one time I was working a show. And I won't say names because I still want that booking, Kavanaugh.
That phone's gonna ring sooner or later.
That's why I jump on my trampoline. Never know when that phone's gonna call. When that phone call's coming. But
does it kind of rhyme with Lince McMahon?
But no.
just
more like
checking.
More like Mott Mamore.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
But
wait a minute.
But
I see a match waiting to be lit right there.
But it's just. Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh yeah. This is the main event.
Oh yes. What has become Ontario Indie Wrestling?
Yeah. So,
but anyway, yeah. So I mean, bridges were, and I honestly, I torched a lot of bridges, as we alluded to earlier. My X-Pac heat. I have again. I carry myself with such confidence that to a lot of people comes off as arrogance.
What? No.
and you know why that is because I was broken the right way, and so I did. I had a chip on my shoulder, and I fully admit that I had a chip on my shoulder because I paid my fucking dues, to be involved in this business.
Yeah. And it wasn't a lot of kids now think it's paying my monthly. That's paying your dues. That's not even close to paying your dues.
No, I was put through the ringer and thankful for it, but I earned my medal. I earned my stripes.
You earned your spot.
And so when I came in and then getting the education I got from Nate, and I was able, and I was, I know every wrestler thinks that they were great, but I don't want to blow smoke on my own ass, but I was having some great matches, and I was carrying myself as a ring general very early on in my career, and so I was. I don't want to say confident, but I was very confident for two reasons. One, I knew I could work. I knew if I was given an opportunity, I could go out there and get over, and I could get the match over. Yep. But more importantly, I was confident because if you didn't like it, go ahead and try to knock the chip off my shoulder. I feared nobody, and that was a, not a good thing, not a good way of carrying yourself at times.
No, because
And that's not to say that I was whooping anybody's ass. I'm damn sure there's people that could have whooped my ass, but I was not afraid to let them know they were going to be in a fight.
Right.
And I carried myself that way, and so it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and it was unintentional on my part a lot of times. But for example, with the person I just found on Sunday that quit because of me,
that fucking blew my mind when I got that information.
When you talk about working yourself into a shoot, number one, what we do is at work. I have zero stroke in the promotion. Yeah. I am just following orders like the soldier that I am. Whatever the booker says go, whatever that pencil's written down for that day, that's what I am doing. Yeah. I am not waving my political influence to get booking plans changing. I'm not demanding to be in the main event. I am just following orders. Unfortunately, some people can't realize that if they want to be in that main event, then they need to get themselves over to that main event level.
That's right.
And X-Pac, man. It's just easier to blame Copeland. fucking Copeland.
They don't want to examine their own careers. They don't want to take the time to make themselves a better worker. They don't want to make them. They don't want to take the time to make themselves a star. And that's just the thing. You have to be a star in this business.
And it comes to that point. I work with a young gentleman who has a friend who was trained by Tyson Dukes, who's now wrestling for Smash.
Yeah.
And he's not booked all the time. And he was telling his friend that he was frustrated, and his friend was telling me because he knows I was a wrestler. And I said to him, you need to tell your friend this. I said, yeah, he's athletic. Yeah, he's out there and he can do all that amazing stuff. And my hat's off to him because it takes a hell of a lot of athleticism to do the moves that he's doing and everything else. But the reason he's not booked all the time is because there's 10 other guys that can do the exact same match that he's doing.
And this is what we might call new style wrestling?
That's right.
Or as Mike called it last week, I'm upside down.
That's right. Total non-stop non-psychology.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm not one of those old guys who says you shouldn't be doing that shit. I say do whatever it is that's selling the tickets. If you're selling out and you guys ain't hurting each other and you're getting paid, keep doing it. If you're not, maybe reassess.
Yeah.
But
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, I mean, things evolve, things go. There's things that go. I'm not above this new style. It's just a matter. Again, it comes back to: are you selling tickets? Are you getting paid? And are you hurting each other?
Yeah.
If the answer is yes, yes, and no, keep doing it. If the answer is no, no, and yes, you're doing something wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, and that's what I told that kid. I said, there's 10 other guys that can have the exact same match as you. That's why you're not booked all the time.
Yeah.
You need to take a look at yourself and say, okay, what can I bring to this show that nobody else is bringing, so that promoter is going to want to book me because I'm getting myself over.
What separates you from the 10 other guys?
Bringing something to that promotion.
I'm seeing a similarity, the way you're describing that, to the Young Lion Dojo in New Japan, where they all dress the same, they all learn the same move sets to start with and whatnot. They have to try and find something just to get that little extra edge, and then they get off to excursion, and that's where they hone. Yeah. Very, very similar the way you're describing that.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. And again, the problem that you're seeing in Ontario and Indy now is that there's so many schools, and everybody whose check clears becomes a wrestler, whether you should be or not. You can become a wrestler.
My opinion is you should not.
Yes. And that's my opinion for the majority, even in the promotion we just worked for on Sunday.
Yes.
And I love that promotion. Yeah. But some guys aren't cut out for this.
No. You said you have to, if you don't have a unique look, you have to be athletic. You should be athletic to begin. You should be an athlete to do an athletic endeavor. It's the very rare person that can do something athletic and they're not athletic at all.
And you can get over doing the ha-ha, but you got to know when to do the ha-ha. Exactly. And that's the thing that's lost when it comes to the ha-ha side of the business is instead of being the ha-ha portion of the show, you're making the business the ha-ha.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of taken over. And again, it comes back to an oversaturation of wrestlers. And that young guy who is talented, I've seen his work. He's very talented, very athletic. But there's hundreds of wrestlers in Ontario now because every single week another check is cleared and there's another batch that's coming. So, yeah. Guys like you and I, we're the dinosaurs now, man. Nobody wants to listen to us. We're the guys that don't know what we're doing, apparently.
Oh, well,
but you know what?
Yeah.
I took one bump on Sunday. one bump.
Yeah.
And I dare say that I had an entertaining match that the fans were into.
Absolutely.
I mean, you were in the crowd.
I can attest.
Yeah. I think, well, between me and, like, in my match, we figured it out maybe 4.5 bumps through the entire match.
Yeah, but see, yours had to have a little bit more because you guys were doing that grudge match.
It
to
had
Behemoths.
To be, it had to be impactful.
It had to be impactful. So again, to break it down for you guys listening, there's different styles that you have to bring into each different match. Every match is different. Depends on the psychology of what you're trying to tell and get over in the match. In the case of Mike's match, definitely had to have impactful, some bumps, some fighting, because that's what the story was for the match, and that's the psychology it needed. And I could say, because I was watching behind the curtain, so I could give Sean the Iggy for his run-in.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bang on. That clothesline you threw, I thought you took his friggin' head off, man.
It sounded so good.
It looked good. And even though it looked like he took his head off, it was completely safe.
Yeah.
And that's what's the beautiful thing about professional wrestling when it's done right, is that it looks like you're killing the guy, but you're not.
Yep.
You know, and it looked good. And that's what I was saying. Like, you know, I get a lot of heat, and a lot of guys, oh, what does he know? But again, I worked the match on short notice. We talked about the finish. That was it. And we only got that from the booker because that's what we had to get over.
Yep.
The rest we called on the fly.
Yeah.
And the fans, I think, were into it. You know, and
this is the stuff I tell Jason. I go, you look at some of the stuff that is. We can walk into any locker room in any promotion in North America, and there's 5 guys, 6 guys, calling their matches step by step by step,
if not more.
Yeah, and
5 or 6 guys being conservative.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
So you lose so much connection to the audience by going. We do this, and this. You eliminate the audience altogether. You've gone from a wrestling match to a movie
to a performance.
To a performance.
Yeah, and the problem is I liken it to like GPS, right? Like,
yeah,
where you plan your match out step by step like that. It's just like you're following GPS. You're going to a destination, but you don't know how to get to that destination. You're following direction. But then what happens if your GPS is wrong and it's telling you to hang a left to a road that doesn't exist? Mm-hmm. You don't know what the hell to do at that point.
Drive into the river. That's seems how old people seem to do.
And that's the same as these guys when they're calling it. When they blow a spot or forget a spot, you'll see them. They're lost. They are lost, man.
He's starting to see that now. So
and you know, I think just working that way, and I'm not one of those old school guys like, oh, you just got to call it in a ring, Junior. I don't think there's anything wrong with going over some things in the back,
but key spots.
But you gotta honestly, if you to me, it should always be organic out there. And I had the privilege of working along ringside was Alex Gerard. Alex Great, been in the business like 50 fucking years or something. I don't know. He's older than Methuselah, but he's a manager out there. And you know what's beautiful about working with a guy that's got that much experience is, I didn't have to talk to him once, and he knew exactly when to interject himself, exactly when to hit me with that cane shot, exactly when to choke me on the ropes.
He's at the spot he needs to be exactly when he needs to be there.
Exactly. And I mean, we didn't talk about anything.
Yeah.
Anything, you know. And
I question his attire, but that's just my personal
No,
preference.
But did you see his shoes?
Those shoes.
I don't know if I noticed the shoes.
I feel like those shoes were worth more than our entire payoff.
The feather boa kind of got my attention. The pink feathered boa.
But that's the gimmick, right?
Yeah, I get it. I just
Okay,
I know. Right? Exactly.
Do you remember the other manager?
Yeah.
Okay, because there's only 2.
Yeah.
But
which one? Which one looked like the professional though?
I can't answer that because
he can't answer that because he might be getting into the game.
No, it's not that. It's that they both did what I would expect them to do. I honestly
but I'm talking about just looking at them. If you had to look at the both of them side by side, which one looked like the professional?
Who would you, if you were to run a promotion?
If you were a promoter,
and you have a spot for one manager.
Well, just because of the neon pink, right? Alexander the Great stands out.
Why? He stands out
because he looks like he belongs on a wrestling show.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. And that's part of it. I mean, like I said, he might be older than Methuselah, but he still spends money on his gimmick because it takes money to make money, right? Mm-hmm. You know. And I guarantee he's got more tied up in that one gimmick alone.
Oh,
than
yeah.
probably what his staff was.
Anything that's pink and fits, it's in his closet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and to his credit, and I love it about it, if you see him outside of gimmick, when he shows up to a show, he's wearing pink.
Yeah.
It's not over the top like it is with his ring attire when he's managing, but if a fan sees him outside of the show, he's wearing a pink newsboy hat,
or
or like
t-shirt
that's
something.
pink, a pink blazer.
So he's living the gimmick.
He lives the gimmick, right? And it's so important. And speaking of living the gimmick, like I cut promos on a site, and I get heat from guys who are in the business, not
they don't
understanding
understand,
that I'm working, that I'm trying to sell tickets and build interest in my match.
Yeah.
And they think that I'm believing what I'm saying. Well, I got news for you, motherfuckers. Of course I believe what I say. If I don't believe, how's the fan supposed to believe?
Exactly. That's
Amen.
the thing. So.
But don't take it personally because, outside of professional wrestling, no, I don't think you're a shit stain. Inside professional wrestling, of course I'm going to think that.
Yeah.
But
All right.
that's just the, but again, that's part of the X-Pac heat, I guess, man. Just everybody thinks I'm an asshole.
Speaking
Maybe
of
I am.
assholes.
Yes.
And preparing a match in advance.
Yeah.
This is not just a match.
No.
This is the one with the hot-ass match?
This is the one with a hot-ass match.
Hot-ass match.
Okay, so the show that we just did for GWN was at the Germania Club in Hamilton. The Germania Club is now a very hot venue for professional wrestling. Not just GWN, but anybody that's got enough money to have a ring and rent for the building.
Which is about 25 different promotions in Hamilton.
In Hamilton alone.
Yeah.
So.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
I expected like 4 or 5.
No.
No.
It's
Damn.
so oversaturated.
Wow.
So. When you go to a building, the first thing you do is walk around every square inch of the building to see the interesting things. And because this is a wrestling building now, you get the run sheets from promotions that have run there before. So, this, I don't know what promotion. I have an idea.
I believe that's Alpha One.
That's the one I was thinking. So
It's Alpha One based on the lineup
yeah,
and who's in the main.
and that name right there.
Yes.
So don't know names.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
so this lineup was discovered in the locker room,
And we laughed.
and we laughed.
Oh, how we laughed.
So at the very top of this, in bold letters, times include entrances. Do not touch the mic unless told. Do not do each other's finishers.
Which, can I just interject right there
Yeah.
for two things? Do not touch the mic unless told. Should never even be on a run sheet because if you're a professional, you should already know that. There's no reason for you to go into business for yourself.
Correct.
Yeah, unless the booker said you can do a promo.
Exactly.
You have no
The,
business touching a mic.
the booker is going to say, I need you to say this because something down the road is going to happen.
That's right.
And that's the only reason you're touching a microphone.
Yeah.
No destroyers. I fucking hate the Canadian destroyer.
And I've always hated it from day one when I seen it. I get why P.D. Williams invented it because he was in a promotion where there was that style had taken over,
Yeah.
and he came up with something that nobody else, to his credit, had never been seen before.
Right.
Had never been done, and also to his credit, he protected that move. That when he did do it, that was it.
Yeah, that's it. It is supposed to be his killer finish.
Yeah.
Now everybody does.
Now it's a turnaround.
It's a turnaround.
Or a transition.
And unfortunately, it is getting used by the wrong people.
I mean, I love
getting
Ricky
used by
Morton.
everybody.
I love Ricky Morton, but when he's using it,
It was in
come
slow
on.
motion.
Okay, my problem with the destroyer is it defies physics because I've only seen one match where it was used correctly outside of PD.
Yeah.
And as soon as the motion stops, that move does not work
That's right.
because it's now incumbent upon the dude taking the move to initiate the move.
Yeah.
Which, if you're in a wrestling match, you don't do.
No,
Why? Because you might lose the match.
that's right.
What's the whole idea of a wrestling match?
To win the match.
To win the match. So, no reverse Ranas.
Which, again, is so stupid. Number one, I hate that move, and I've always hated that move.
It's a dangerous move.
It's a dangerous move. Quick story on the reverse Rana. Here's my experience with the reverse Rana. I was in a 6-man scramble one time with several of Ontario's finest, some of which were wrestling on Spike TV at the time, as well on a weekly basis. And the guy decided to use that opportunity to do a reverse Rana to stand out from the pack. He then proceeded to spike his own head into the mat, and we all thought he was dead. So that's why I say, why do the reverse Rana? It's such a stupid move, and honestly, the pop is not great because people have already seen it. Yeah. It's already been done. So the risk to reward ratio isn't there unless you're really good at it, which I will give the Young Bucks credit when they did it against Kenny Omega on the pay-per-view at AEW a couple weeks ago. That's a reverse Rana that was worth doing because it added to the story of the match, and they were really good at doing it, and Kenny Omega took a disgusting bump off of it, but also a safe bump, and to his credit actually sold it, which is not normally a Kenny Omega thing to do.
Naito does it well?
Naito does it well. It's New Japan. You are very hard-pressed to find an unprofessional person in New Japan.
But overall, I hate that move.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I'm not a fan of it just because it does look ugly.
But
it does look
just the fact that this has to be on a run sheet to say that, like, how many guys are doing this? That this has to be
all of them.
That this has to be in bold. Like, you guys, for those at home and looking at this is in bold italics, like right at the very top.
Yeah. So you're gonna have one guy doing that as some sort of weird combination. They're gonna hit him with the Destroyer, then pick him up and hit him with a Rana, or vice versa. You're gonna have that one guy doing it all.
Yeah. And the tower spots must be approved thing is also funny to me. When did that become a thing where that has to be?
It's new. It's a new wrestling spot. That's what it is. Same with Destroyers, Ranas. It is in every match.
Get to my personal favorite one.
No balcony spots at all. The fact that it is no balcony spots at all tells you
somebody tried to do a balcony
spot. Many people have tried to do balcony spots.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, folks, that this balcony is legitimately 15 to 18 feet.
About that.
Yeah. And it's
from the ring, it's got to be
10 feet from the ring.
On the one side, maybe on the side where I was sitting, I would say at least 6 feet.
Yeah. So you have to jump. You have to jump.
You got distance to cover.
Yeah. And how do you come down controlled from that?
You can't. You're going to hurt yourself.
And you got to try and do a running start, which means you got the railing in the way, so that's not going to work.
Don't do it.
But I'm going to go viral, bro.
Yeah. When you kill yourself.
Hashtag leap of faith.
Yeah. So you want to start at the main or the open?
Let's start at the open. Let's go right from start to finish. So we know. Can I just point out real quickly too? This is the same promotion that rents a hall that has 2 separate buildings in the same hall.
Yeah.
And then they do a run through the day of the show, a full on dress rehearsal.
Yeah,
a full on dress rehearsal, move for move, match for match.
Jeez.
So the opening match is a 3-way dance. I'm not going to name names.
Well, fair enough.
So we are told they have 10 to 12 minutes. This includes their entrances. So realistically,
7 minutes.
5 minutes.
And how do you tell a story in a 3-way with that, though?
You don't.
5 to 7 minutes.
Why is Why is a gimmick match the first match out of the gate?
Oh, because it's got to be a hot ass opener.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Okay. The best part. Okay, we have the finish here, and then they are told have a hot ass match. How do you do that? How do you have a hot ass match? Isn't that
in 5 minutes?
In 5 minutes, is that not up to the fans to decide?
Yeah, but see, to them it doesn't matter because this is all just a circle jerk for themselves.
It is absolutely it is. So, there's.
Let's not keep in mind the second thing is an announcement segment that has just as much time as that hot ass opener.
Yeah.
So, even if they succeeded in having that hot ass match, as they say, you are now killing the crowd dead.
Hot with heated up cool it right off.
Yeah.
Oh, WWE programming.
Yes.
No, WWE starts with a long ass promo.
Right.
The majority of the time, it's a
Yeah.
long ass promo. Then it's supposed to heat up.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
This is like the polar opposite of that.
Yeah.
So we've got the dude in the ring. He gives himself 10-minute promo, gets over all the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
And then there's blah, 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 alpha this. I say yes, there's a challenge of some kind.
Yeah.
Next we have another gimmick match, female tag team match.
The Bozarks.
Yeah. 12 to 15 minutes total, including entrances. So we're back at the thing. Wait a minute. This looks like
A 4-way?
it's a tag. It's a tag team, but I think it's 2 out of 3 falls
It is, yeah.
because there's like pins to tie up the matches.
Oh, must be a rematch from a previous show. 'Cause
Yeah.
then
And
it
then-
says cuts a post-match challenge to a rematch for.
Yeah. A 30-minute Iron Woman match.
I'll put asses in the seats.
Yeah. So after that, we have an elimination match. Hardcore.
Hardcore.
So we have 1, 2, 3.
People hitting each other with
4.
shit just for the sake of hitting each other with shit.
Exactly. We have.
I know we're not naming names, but
Can
is New Jack on there?
No.
New Jack?
No.
Just checking.
No.
But can I just point out how much I hate this friggin' style and always have?
Yeah.
You are a no talent hack if all you can do is hardcore, and it's even worse if you pride yourself and brag that you're the best at hardcore. That's saying you're the best at being the worst.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and it's just there's a place for hardcore wrestling, but it's called a blow off match.
Yeah, exactly. Not in the middle. Okay, so we have total time 16 minutes with entrances.
Woo!
They have timed out each elimination. Who should be where? Now,
If I'm the guy who only gets 2 minutes in that, I'm so thankful because I get the same payday and only got to get hit by shit for 2 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have the internet darling.
Yeah.
I will say
Yeah. Go ahead.
Warhorse. He's lighting up the internet because he's really good on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's in a match. Total time 14 to 16 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you have the big money draw that they paid big money to bring in the ring for realistically 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Thanks. 15-minute intermission.
Well, everybody else gotta get their shit in.
Yeah. So there's a title match. There's a promo. Total time 12
Now,
minutes.
is this not the third title match of the show?
This is.
I think it's only the second.
Second title match.
So you're gonna put them on back to back too.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
Oh, the next ones are all
Title matches.
title matches.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it tells the dude, pose with the belt, leave it in the ring. Can you, as a promoter, can you not just tell the dude that? It's
I got shit to do.
yeah. So the next match is a tag title 4-way elimination. So the one I don't want to say the name, but that team name is dumb.
So dumb.
So
Yep.
dumb.
Yep.
So because there's a 50% chance those dudes are running away.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, it's a double entendre because it means that we're here to fight. We can throw hands, or we can do the aerial style.
Okay.
Hey, we're upside down.
That's what we can do. It depends on what style we can do either.
Yeah. So we got the runtime, and I think that this is turning into a terrible idea. Because there's nothing on here that makes me want to watch this show.
But here's my point though with it, right? Is that why does it have to be done in such detail in this run sheet? Number one, who's training these fuckers if they can't just work? You know? Yeah, I know. They shall remain nameless because we don't have the money for litigation.
That's right.
But I'll share a quick story when it comes to this. So I was booked on a show a couple years ago now, and I left right before my match. First and only time I've ever done that in my career.
You were around when I got that phone call.
Yes, I think I know this story. As soon as you said it, the only time I think I've heard this story.
And the reason is because I just couldn't do it because I was booked in a three-way. And you know what? Number one, I hate three-ways. Just can I say I hate three-ways? I hate three-ways. They're stupid.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman did it 25 years ago. But that's because, and this is the part that gets overlooked all the time when it comes to three-ways, that was done after a year of build.
Yeah.
And that's where it went. And that's why it made sense to do it, you know? And if you ever watched that match, it was really well done because they used psychology in it. That's all been forgotten about, and now three-ways are just done from lazy booking.
Well, okay.
Shit, I have to know, what was that match, that Paul Heyman match?
Sabu versus Shane Douglas versus Terry Funk.
Okay.
That was
the ECW heavyweight
I wasn't
title.
sure what was the first
that
one.
was barely legal. The pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't the pay-per-view.
Oh, no.
No,
No,
but it was
okay.
barely legal. It was, but it was after a year of build-up.
Yeah.
And they're bringing in Funk.
Okay.
And that was Terry Funk giving the rub on not one but two guys that Paulie was trying to make at the time.
The one that I watched, it was Funk, Stevie Richards,
And Sabu.
No,
Shane Douglas?
Shane Douglas. And then Raven was the champion.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, because Sabu wrestled Taz.
That's right. Earlier
And
on
then
the show.
they said that's when they had the Taz Rob Van Dam team was developed off of that.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anywho, so but my point is that they go, and like I was just involved in a three-way match on Sunday, and thankfully for me, one of the participants couldn't really compete due to health reasons, so we had to keep him outside the ring.
Yeah.
Unfortunately
for safety.
Unfortunately for me, that guy is still greener than goose shit, and even though I posted him and Sean hit him in the face with the belt, which should have been enough to lay him out for a long time, he kept rising like Michael fucking Myers. And I was running out of things to do to him. I remember calling spots to Tommy and then looking over and seeing Ruin trying to get back in the ring, and I'm going, fuck it, cut Ruin off. Because I was like, dude,
Stay down.
And that's part that was hard, because every time I felt like Tommy and I were getting into a groove of doing something, we had to stop and go.
You covered it well.
Thank you.
You did cover it well.
Thank you.
Me and my buddy Brent, we actually enjoyed how often you had to keep kicking Ruin. Like,
It got to the point where I was kicking that motherfucker in the face. Sell this motherfucker.
I texted him today. I go, hey, because he posted that picture of the shot that Sean gave him.
Yeah.
I go, how's the bruise today? He goes, that's not bad, but it pales in comparison to the beats that Tommy and Tim laid on.
Big Sean, if you're listening to this, I fucking love you. But that was a receipt for the 3 broken ribs in November.
all right.
There you go. Yeah, that's right. I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget. But yeah, but getting back to that, what I was saying was, just three ways have just become a common thing. It's become lazy booking. It's, the promoter goes, oh shit, I got one extra guy. What do I do?
Well, yeah.
Or you get the no-show, and it's like, well, instead of just paying the guy for showing up and maybe using him in a run-in or something else, well, no, we got to give him a match. Came all this way, and I don't know why I've just turned Southern and turned into Honky Tonk Wayne, but I just have. But but it drives me nuts. I hate three-ways, always have. So getting back to my original story, sorry, I was booked in the three-way. Three-ways suck to begin with, but you know what? I can work, I can call. This guy and the other guy that I was working with wanted to run through everything spot by spot by spot by spot by spot by spot by spot. And you know what? I can do that, but fuck, I hate it.
Yeah.
And not to mention, one, the payoff wasn't that great. I mean, it was good for me because the promoter wasn't Mark, and he paid me off better than I normally get paid off. But I said, oh, guys, it's a comedy Halloween show. You're dressed as a fucking Power Ranger. I'm dressed as Captain Jack Sparrow, and you're wearing some mask gimmick that nobody's ever heard of. But let's just go out there and give him some ha-ha. Give him some ha-ha, no bumps, maybe one for the finish, and go home. Get her paycheck and go home. Yep. Nope. Gotta get her shit in, bro. Why? Because the mentality isn't about entertaining the fans. It's about circle jerking each other so we can have an ego and say, we're the best. We did all this shit. Yep. And honestly, right before my match, my music hit, and I said, you know what? No fucking thanks, man. I'm out of here. And so I left, and that was it. And yeah, another case of me getting nuclear heat, but 100% worth it. I would do it again because. Well,
you said integrity has to come into play with this. Like,
speaking of integrity, I left with my payoff. So.
Hey.
I worked a battle royal. That counts.
You worked.
Yeah.
You get paid. You worked. You get paid.
Speaking of that battle royal, something that drove me. Am I allowed to name names on here? I'm not going to say anything litigious. Just my own opinion.
In the opinion of Tim Copeland.
In Tim Copeland's own opinion, Cody Deaner is a wiener. Okay. Because number one, fuck you, Cody. I've been working just as long as you. Number two, when you pull onto my ponytail, motherfucker, you don't have to call the spot sell that I'm pulling your ponytail. I'm already selling it, you idiot. Sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. Because that guy's the greatest indie wrestler, apparently. But how much does everybody else suck if everybody thinks he's the best? That's what I want to put out there.
But he was on Impact. But
yeah, he was. And Hulk Hogan pointed him out as the only guy on that entire roster and says, he doesn't belong here. You need to fire him.
Oh, damn.
And I know that's harsh, but Cody, you know that that's the shoot, and that's the truth, so is what it is.
Yep.
It's a good thing you're friends with the right guys again to get your job back, just at a very reduced rate.
On that note.
Wow. Don't hold back.
I can't understand why I got X-Pac heat.
I'm at a loss, too. So, give everybody your socials.
My socials. Hit me up on Twitter, on the Tweeter. I'm at Kid Copeland on Twitter. Facebook. I'm not going to give that out there because I got my personal stuff on there. But you can find me on the GWN Fandemonium on Facebook. Yep. So feel free to look me up on there. And to anybody who still hates me after this, thank you.
Don't worry, they're not listening.
Yeah, probably not.
Well,
at least, and if they do after this one, they won't be.
if they've lasted this long,
maybe we got them.
We got them.
We got that hook.
Yep. All right. You can follow me on Twitter at ShedQuartersPod. We have a Facebook page, Dispatches from Shed Quarters. You can find us on that.
You can find the podcast, of course, always on iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and through, what's that, Anchor?
Anchor FM.
Jazomon Podcast Network.
Yep.
Don't forget that. Thanks, Dave. I think that's, anywhere you can find a podcast, you're going to find us.
Overcast, Pocket Cast, any place that you can download podcasts. You search for Dispatches from Shed Quarters, we'll pop up. Now, I just need to ask you guys, if you do like this show, go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, maybe put something in the comment. You don't have to say that you like the show specifically, just maybe like write down your favorite cookie recipe or something like that. But the 5-star is really important. It helps other people find this show. So if you could do that for us, that would be great.
I like cookie recipes.
So do I.
Yeah, okay.
So how's this keto, bro? Is that keto?
Totally keto. So, Tim, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome,
this is a blast. I really appreciate it. I was able to get some things off my chest.
Like therapy?
I feel good. I almost feel like I just got some yoga.
So much lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thanks for the heat, Tim.
Hashtag guilt by association.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for listening to the last episode of
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this week. This has been Mike.
And Jason.
We will talk to you next week. You got something, Tim?
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Come on, say bye. Say bye.
Bye, Podcast Universe.